I came for the low.
Hi everyone, this is Catching Up with the Nerds with your hosts Tom and JC and our special guest back again, David. This is a podcast about two dads that are catching up on all the nerdy stuff we miss, sharing how we pass on our nerdy passions to our kids, and deep diving into nerd pop culture to make it more accessible for you. Welcome back, listeners, and welcome back, you guys.
We're back. Hello.
Hey.
Exciting times. Let's introduce each other quickly, briefly, in the timely manner, JC. Let's start with our guest, David. Who are you? What do you do?
Who am I?
Why are you here?
I am David Sago. I am a podcast host over at the Grit and Grind Basketball Podcast. And I also do some teaching. I'm here, though, because I am a big Marvel fan. I've read a few of the comics, but what got me my start in the Marvel realm is really cartoons. Watching the old X-Men cartoons and the 90s cartoons, Spider-Man. Oh, even the older than 90s. I realized Spider-Man's like super old, early Captain America and that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's what got me in. And that's why I'm here.
All right. Excellent. JC, who are you? Why are you there too?
So I am Juan Carlos Garay, but everybody calls me JC. I am in Portland, Oregon via London, where I met Tom. And hopefully one day we'll be able to get to meet David. But in a post-pandemic world. I've got two lovely kids. One's Aiden, one is Arabelle, 11 and 6. And I've got a lovely wife named Fiorella. I am also, I believe, a podcaster. I also dabble in digital stuff for my day job, and I'm into graphic novels. That's my thing. Over to you, buddy.
Excellent. I'm Tom. I'm the other half of the Catching Up with the Nerds podcast. It's hard to say these days. I am also very much French and still married to my wife, Elizabeth, for the last something years. We've got two kids, one 4-year-old Louis and the other one 12-year-old, almost 12-year-old Emily. I love video games, I love comics, I love Marvel, I love DC, and I think that's about it. I still live in London, still there, I've been left behind by JC, who moved across the pond, but that's fine. That is fine. Last time we saw each other was 3 years ago, JC. Legoland. That's why I sent you that level photo.
I will not share what that was.
Took messages. You sent him an Easter egg.
There was a picture that went on our WhatsApp group, and he was like, "What?"
It felt very blackmailing, if I'm honest, and he sent it.
There are videos, JC. There are videos.
me enjoying Legoland a little too much.
Yeah. Pray they never come out. All right. So what are we here for? Why are we gathering one more time? And I guess it's to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So we had episode 1, 2, and 3 cover in one big show, one big episode a couple of weeks ago. And I thought we'd just do the same thing. We'll go over 4, 5, and 6, episode 4, 5, 6, and sort of do a recap of those 3 episodes. Yeah, no, maybe not. And give our overall opinions on the entire series that was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What we thought overall about it, what we liked, what we didn't like, where we think this is going, and a bunch of other stuff. Where shall we get going? Shall we go first with our overall impression of the entire, of episode 4, 5, 6, and then of the entire series?
Just spoiler warning. We're gonna spoil the crap out of the ending of this series. So if you have not watched it, please go off and watch it. Spend your couple of hours watch it, and then come back to this podcast. The first thing, you don't go to those other crappy podcasts that actually have sponsors. Come to our podcast.
They don't like you like we love you.
Yes.
Right. Who wants to go first? Oh, okay, go. Who wants to go first with their overall opinion of maybe the last 3 episodes and the entire thing? Do you want to go, Dave? Put you on the spot.
I'm happy to jump in. Yeah.
All right, go on.
To jump in. So I think, interestingly, I actually got a lot more into the series after listening to your recap of episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
And it's interesting, we were talking in pre-production about the 2 different models employed by Netflix and Disney Plus, because I actually think this is a show that is better binged watched than watched week to week. and the way that your recap brought all of the good things that happened in the first 3 episodes together sort of made me realize how actually good the show was. Whereas watching it week to week, I was just like, yeah, it's fine. Like, I'm probably only watching it because it's a Marvel property. Comparing it to other like action TV shows like Jack Reacher or something like that, which I think held me a bit better. But then like hearing all the good moments that had happened consolidated like that, I was like, no, actually, yeah, it is good. It is good. And then episode 4 came out and I was floored by it anyway. So I think they really picked things up in the second act. In the second half, I guess. And episode 4 was the best episode comfortably. And then episode
is that the Madripoor episode?
Yes. No, sorry.
No, that's 3.
That's
4 is Riga.
Riga.
Yes.
Wakanda jumped in.
Yeah.
Ohio pops
Fully
up
agree.
from Wakanda. There's that great conversation between Sam and what's the girl's name? Carly, that's the one.
Yeah.
They have that great conversation that gets interrupted by Walker. He takes the serum, and we know what happens from there. Amazing episode that I thought really started to push the envelope on where the show was heading and what we were going to see in the last couple of episodes. Raised the stakes a bit as well. And yeah, that really made the show for me. That episode made the show. And then I think 5 actually topped that, coming flying out of the gates with the fight between Walker, Falcon, and Bucky. I think those 2 episodes really made the show. And then I think 6 was they keep doing this where they leave themselves too much to do in the last episode.
Yes.
A lot. Yeah. Yes.
And I'm starting to feel like they are excellent. The writers, and granted they're different writers, but they're excellent at setting up all of these strands. But then they don't necessarily give themselves enough time to tie everything up in a satisfying way. The episode ended well and the season ended well, but I think a few of the characters were sort of marginalized by the daunting task of wrapping up all of the loose ends. So I think Carly had a bit of a disappointing end to the episode, and same thing with Walker as well.
I've got something about Walker, but I think we can keep it for the stuff I didn't like portion. JC, do you want to carry on? Anything else you want to add to the overall?
Yeah, let's start off on the formatting note, because I'm glad you brought that up, David. It's like, I think this is a better long movie than a series of episodes. Like, to me, it was not episodic outside the fact that it was sliced into episodes, but it was not episodic at all. The pace of it, like all of it's like, it could have been a movie, and you could have cut it down to like a brief Snyder cut 4 hours instead of 6 hours if you gotten rid of a few of the plot lines that I think weren't as necessary. Really, my one pick was like, this could have been a Falcon movie. I've got the theory you can get rid of Bucky and it still all hangs together. Even though I did like the Bucky storyline, and you could have given Bucky his own movie and it would have been just as interesting. So like 2 movies out of this, I think I would have been very happy with, but I still loved it. I had a great time watching it. It was like just a nice break from the headiness of WandaVision to just like, people are punching each other. Oh yeah, there's action. And my big overall thing, plot aside, is that I like that it was like Bourne Identity, Bond level action, John Wick level action. It wasn't big demon things, punchy CGI. We got just like street level views of stuff. Like, that made me so happy to see that again, because I really feel like I hadn't seen it in quite a few Marvel movies. I hadn't really had that experience. So yeah, no, I was happy with it.
That big battle scene in episode 6, I was thinking about you, JC, because of all of the cuts, all of the quick. Punch.
What's happening?
I was like, wait. Even for myself, like usually it doesn't bother me that much usually, but like this time around, I went, whoa, wait, what? Who punched what? Yeah, it was quite funny. I'll just go through mine quickly on the overall feeling. But I liked it. It's again, as I said, I will not do the thing of comparing WandaVision and Falcon, but there we go again. I'll do it anyway. It's just that I thought WandaVision was very solid all throughout. Like there wasn't really one episode I didn't like, but like Falcon felt a bit uneven in a way. There's like the first half of it was a bit okay, fine, they're going there somewhere. You know, some of it is the pacing is a bit off at times. It's a bit slow, but then I guess they'll tie things up eventually. They'll go there. They go to they make the point they want to make. But then the second half of 4, 5, and 6, second half of the season picked up and it was really, really good. So 4 and 5 for me is to say I'm thinking the same than Dave. It's where it picked. Episode 6 was good. It's just that they had so much to cover again. It seems to be the Marvel trade. It's like, come on, But I know what they're doing. They are doing that on purpose in a way to, bring you into the movies or whatever movie is going to come out. Captain America 4, and if they do a season 2, that's expected, I guess. Ellie just watched it and she was like, at the end of it, she was, this is going to be season 2 at some point. And I was like, I'm not sure, but it would be unsurprising if they do reveal there's going to be one. I think for me the overall feeling about Falcon and Winter Soldier was that I liked it. It was very like a throwback to the 80s and 90s series in places. There's a lot of like jokes and for example like buddy cops action movies. For example, my favorite scene, apart from Zemo dancing in the clubs, but my favorite fight scene was was it episode 4 or 5? I can't remember. The one where the Wakanda guards are fighting. Is that 4? Yeah?
Oh yeah.
And then that move when she just literally turns off Bucky. She goes and falls off. But actually, there was a bit of everything in that scene. It's like this amazing fighting, amazing choreography, and then there's been a bunch of funny bits. For example, Zemo fighting, or they're all fighting each other, and you've got Bucky and Falcon looking and just like, oh, you look like you're doing well. Just looking at everybody like, you don't need us. We'll be fine. We'll be out. And then they eventually join in. But so there's a lot of comedy in there that was quite funny to see, and it was very, to me, reminiscent of the 90s. So in that aspect, I was very happy. Just a couple of things. Again, we'll talk about it. I think it's for me the biggest gripe for it was the pacing in some episodes. I was like, we don't need this. We don't need that shot of the boat. Like we want. Like it's fine. Get rid of it.
The boat? Oh, we're gonna have to talk about that. I think you need the boat. You absolutely need the boat.
You need the boat. You need the boat. I know why it's there, but it's just there was a couple of scenes I was like, come on.
Oh, you need it.
Move along. Right. Shall we move on and we talk about the themes of that was really discussed on the show. I think the biggest one, the biggest two actually is mental health and racism. That was still very much present in the second half of the series. Anything else you want to add to those topics?
I think that thematically they set one up that they did not land, which I think and I may be reading between the lines, but to David's point earlier about Carly's ending, I think they didn't land the theme of this whole like we are one world, one people versus like divided countries. They never resolved that in a meaningful way, and I think they invest some time in that theme. So part of me feels that and it really sucks. I think the Flag Smashers were not actually a theme. The Flag Smashers were the MacGuffin. They were what propelled the plot forward, but it didn't actually mean anything. And that was kind of disappointing, actually, because I think the Captain America franchise has been the most political out of all the franchises within Marvel. Absolutely. And I think, and not leaning into that theme harder, except for that one speech at the end that he gives to like the UN type person. I was like, whether it be from Carly or from Sam or somebody, I wanted that theme to pay off a bit more. But to David's point, it's like there was so much set up. It's going to be hard to land that anyways. I think they should have leaned out of it. That's the only disappointing theme that I didn't like.
Yeah, I think you mentioned in the first wrap up that you didn't know who the GRC was. Like they just dropped in that advert and then they get blown up. The building gets blown up at the end of the episode, and it's kind of like, okay, like you've told us who they are, but we don't really feel who they are. We don't really, it doesn't like hit home what they're trying to do, and why Carly's so against it and everything. You understand on a surface level, but they don't really make you invest in those ideas and themes. And I think episode 5 did a good job of getting you to invest in those children that were in, I don't know if it's an orphanage or they are displaced, aren't they? But yeah, again, they didn't really land that sort of dynamic between the GRC and the Flag Smashers opposing views. And I think that the speech was meant to be the payoff when he says, why do you think that is that they were able to accumulate so much of a following? Yeah. But he says it, but we don't, and he's right, but we don't sit as the audience thinking what the GRC are doing is bad or wrong at any point during those 3 episodes that we are aware of them, or 4 episodes that we're made aware of them. Whereas if we had felt that, it would have been a bit different.
It almost felt like they were taking too much on in terms of themes throughout this thing. It's like you can try, you can take on, for example, racism and mental health. That's massive topics, massive themes to talk about, right? Yep. Over 6 episodes, it gives you a good time to deal with those and times to, get your point across. But like adding a 3rd one on top of that, which is a larger commentary on the state of the world and nationalism and all this stuff. Yeah, I think that might have been a little bit too ambitious for that. Yeah. Just for 6 episodes, it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot.
And they brought in a late theme as well. If you think about it, they brought up the theme of imperialism through U.S. Agent, right? Of like going out and doing things for causes that are believed to be just, but doing it all the wrong way. So it's like, it was a lot, man. So that's, but if I could have lived without the imperialism theme, I generally did like the Flag Smasher theme. And that's why it's disappointing. Because if I didn't care about it, then I'm like, fine. If they didn't pay it off, not a big deal. But they now set up a world that's like clearly fractured and divided. And I'm like, Loki's not going to address that because Loki's in a different time. Right. So it's like, when are you going to address the fact that, yes, you have to like figure out this border situation, like this issue, like someone disappeared in your house, where are they going to live? Like you got to address that stuff. And it's like, it didn't do any of that work or showed us that impact, right? Like I wanted to see it a bit more. So but having said that, the other 2 themes I think were touched on a lot in the episode, in the second half. And the one that I was worried about, which was, I knew that Bucky was going to get paid off. That was clear. I was worried how the payoff would happen for Sam. And I'm glad that they brought it in what is my take right now, like a nuanced way. It wasn't just like an in your face. Some parts were a little bit too in your face for me, but there was some nuance in there that I really appreciated in the racism theme.
Okay, so that's interesting. Just talk a little bit more about that. What do you mean was too much in your face? Because to me, it wasn't too much in your face. It was more of I think it was more of a cultural thing in the way that the way was, for example, I don't know if you do it. Let's go talk about it now. So that last speech from Sam, obviously the theme, I was like, yep, this guy's got it. But the way it was delivered was so over the top, Americanized, and like it's like the only thing it was missing was like violins and stuff. Like I agree with what you're saying, but like the way you delivered it, I was like, I feel very bad saying that. It's like, it's almost like I was like almost rolled my eyes because I was like, I agree with the sentiment, but the way it's delivered, the way it's portrayed, I'm like, like we all need to rise. I was like, yes, cool, I agree. like again, maybe it's a throwback to the 90s where there used to be a lot of that sort of deliveries of your point meant that way with like big, and the way it was shot and the way it was done also kind of bothered me. It was like everybody was just quiet and everything was picked up on camera. And I know it's a show and it's meant to be like that so everybody can hear and it's got its point. But I was like, God, this is so 90s. That's what they used to do before, like in the action movies. Like suddenly you had the heroes in the middle, and everybody's quiet. It's like in real life, it would be like that. And that's the thing. Is like it wasn't that. So that's the only thing that bothered me. Like obviously the point I was getting across was absolutely on point, But I was like,
that's an important point, because it was idyllic in the
Yes.
situation and
Sure.
in the
Exactly.
message. It's
Yes.
idealistic, and I think it's interesting that they went that route, because I've only read the first few pages of Sam Wilson's Captain America, but he's very much he's not cynical, but he's very much aware that there is people that don't want him to have the shield.
Correct.
And he's not so optimistic about the whole situation. Right? He's operating from this position where he's often helping people that do not like him in the slightest because of the color of his skin. And so it was interesting to have such an idealistic speech to end it. He said some important things in it, but
Exactly.
He said something also. It just felt a bit in terms of how it was done. I'm nothing against with the message again. It's the way it was done. It felt a bit out of place, like a bit too polished.
Yeah.
As in, like, everything else is very gritty, and this was like, I don't know. It felt a bit weird. I think I'm sure it's just me, but
and I know it's a small-ish detail, but I really wish you would have taken off the goggles. It just bugged me, because I felt like that was a moment to just pull off the suit and just like, this is me talking.
This is Sam, not Captain America.
Exactly. That's the part that to me didn't land. That I was like, I even as I was looking, I'm like, it's really hitting me, but it was at the same time bugging me that he wasn't taking off the goggles. And I'm like, this is not your superhero moment, right? It's like, this is you as a person. You as the struggle that we've seen you go through in this series. So that's the only part that I'm like.
But then at the same time, this was the first time he was representing as Captain America.
True.
So by keeping it on, he's also saying this is who the new Captain America is.
Yeah, true.
That's fair.
That's a good point.
True.
That's a fair counter. Absolutely. The part that I felt was more nuanced when I mentioned like the more nuanced is actually just coming back to a point about the ship, the boat. The boat is the first time that we get to have an appreciation of why would we sell our past, right? It's like, why would we give away our heritage, our lineage, right? And then we see that theme play out with Isaiah Bradley. So like Sam deciding to having his sister decide to keep the boat, him deciding that he's always been pushed to like keep the boat, picking up the shield and having the conversation with Isaiah Bradley. I thought that all that happened almost in the background, but it was so well done. I thought like the timing of it, I think was really nice. And that's why spending that time with the boat, I know that scene probably dragged on for a couple of seconds longer than it should have in terms of viewing, but in terms of landing the message of like, no, it's community, it's honoring our past, and like and the whole like symbolism around the statues that are getting torn down around the United States and new ones being put up, like all that, like I wonder if they went and recut some of that stuff because it seems so relevant, and I'm like, how could they possibly know? Either it's like better writing that I give him credit for in terms of Marvel, and then for instance, it is a new writer for Marvel, so maybe he was just bringing the heat, right? But I thought that it was very well done, that part.
Yeah, it is actually a predominantly black writing team on the show, which I didn't find out until afterwards.
Yeah, because it's Malcolm Spellman, right? That's the lead writer.
Yeah. And then him and I think what was the name? Is it Muson? I think the person's called Muson. Have been rumored to continue this franchise. But yeah, I thought the boat stuff was really interesting, and it's interesting also that he got support from the community based off his family name, right?
Correct.
Going back into your the point you just made about legacy, that his parents helped so many people. Now it's time to sort of call back in those favors and get some of that good karma. And ironically, that is very similar to the one world theme that the Flag Smashers were touting as well.
Yeah.
Right, that everyone can come together for the same cause.
Making that connection would have been awesome, and they never did. It just never landed. Yeah.
Mark, let's carry on with the things we like then. Let's pivot into that. should I start? There's one thing that actually that as you guys were talking about Isaiah Bradley. One of the things I actually enjoyed the most was the conversations between Sam Wilson and Bradley. Their dynamic and how they have very different viewpoints and how they made an effort to make sure that he was integrated. And actually in episode 6 at the end, how he got celebrated and back into his story got told. I thought that was pretty cool. To the point where I was like, I would really like to see more about Bradley. See more of his backstory. Obviously, I don't know if they'll make a series eventually about him. I very much doubt so, but there's a lot to. There will be a lot to go through there. There'll be historically interesting, to try to reset his story within the context of when he was there, that age. So I thought that was pretty cool. I would love to have more scenes between the two of them.
I'll tell you exactly how they could do it. His son, Isaiah Bradley's, grandchild, becomes something patriot. Like he becomes like part of the Young Avengers, right?
Yeah.
Set a story.
I think.
Yeah.
He's just Patriot.
Patriot, yeah. So set it so that it's a journey of him becoming patriot set against flashbacks of Isaiah Bradley becoming
that'd be cool.
Becoming like a Captain America like person. Like you can bring it all back and it would make total sense and it would progress the plot. Like I would love to see that.
Boom. Have you ever thought of applying for a job at Marvel, Casey?
I'm texting Kevin as we speak. He's on
F.
it. Kevin F.
What's K Dot doing?
Exactly.
K-Easy. Talk to him. What else you guys have? Stuff you liked?
I agree with that. First of all, I thought the actor that played Isaiah Bradley played it flawlessly. Very powerful scenes from the very first time we saw him to the very last time we saw him. I thought he was excellent. And that whole area was handled perfectly. Handled with compassion. It made you were sensitive to the issues and his plight. It was excellent when he told that story in what I believe was episode 5, and his story mirrored that of Steve Rogers in the first Avenger, where he's gone in to save his platoon against the wishes of his commanders, but Steve Rogers is made a hero and made a captain because of it. And Isaiah Bradley is essentially keeping their dirty secrets out in the open and ends up going to jail for his actions. And that mirrors, again, really powerful because it further exposes the way America sees Black people differently to white people. And then, when he says any Black person would be stupid for taking up the mantle of Captain America, essentially because for however many hundreds of years, Black people were seen as 4/5 of a man. They weren't even fully human. So why would you represent that country? And then Falcon brings it back around, Sam, and says that because of the fight, because of all that Black people have gone through, that's why he's going to take up the mantle, right? He sees that as the natural progression that we built this country. So I'm going to represent the fact that the country was built on us and carry forward that fight. Excellently delivered by the writers, excellently delivered on the show as well. And then we have the other side of the coin, don't we? The mental health stuff with Bucky. And I think a turning point in picking his story back up, because it kind of gets put down for episodes 4 and 5, is the conversation in 5 when after is it before the montage? After they speak, after they're throwing the shield and practicing, Sam says to him that you weren't actually trying to make amends, you were trying to avenge, right? Hearkening back to the fact that they were all part of the Avengers and that's what they did. He's trying to do that same thing rather than actually really get to the root of the issue. And he needed to just face it and tell those people what happened. That's the
Yes.
only way he can ever move past it, is to face it head on. And that scene also mirrored not mirrored actually, because it's quite different, but I like that Sam got to go back to his roots of how we first saw him being a counselor to soldiers in The Winter Soldier. Because that scene and the scene with Carly in episode 4, I thought that Carly scene was, up to that point, the best scene of the show so far. When he sits down with her and he really picks her brain about her themes and why she's doing what she's doing, and he sees how he can relate to it and where she's flawed in her execution of it. But just that open conversation and the way that he can really talk to people and get to the root of their issues, I think is a really interesting part of the character, Sam Wilson. And that was excellently portrayed in that scene. And then we have the moment where Bucky has to go back and visit the man whose son he killed, and just flat out admit it.
Yeah. And not get an it's okay, not get a pardon, not get it. Just you walk out with that and you live with it, and that's real. And I love that. I agree.
Yeah, I was the same. Yeah, I was very happy that they cut away from that reaction from the guy, from the dad. That was quite great. That JC, anything you liked, enjoyed?
Well, just building on what David said, if there was ever an argument for how police are trained in all the wrong skills, it's that. It's literally, it's like Sam was talking to people, right? Because he knew how to do it. He had the training, even though he can punch all he wants and he's got the wings and all stuff, but like he was talking to people. And I'm like, I think that's such a great argument for what we're living through right now, right? It's just like, yes, police officers are trained in all the wrong ways. Like all the wrong incentives are there. And the incentive for Sam came from his own character. Like no one told him you should go talk to people. No one tells him that. It's built into him, right? And I really like that. But on touching on like stuff that I like, I think this show does something really clever that I didn't catch until like today, is that this shows an origin story. And if you think about like why we like the origin stories so much, all the origin stories, like Captain America: First Avenger, one of the best movies they put out. Like for example, like the origin of like Iron Man, everybody loves that. The origin of Doctor Strange, like all the origin stories are super popular because you get to see a character change. You know, the character in the beginning will not be the character at the end, right? And both of these were origin stories for Bucky ceasing to be the Winter Soldier and becoming something else. What he'll be, we don't know, but it's an origin story where he lets go of what he used to be. And Sam is the obvious one, with becoming Captain America, right? So we get to see him to go on that journey and come out the other end. And I think that's why, as much as there was some strands that were left open, I found it really satisfying at the end, because it felt like they became something new. What they'll do with that, let's see. And that's, of course, the Marvel formula. It's like always leave you wanting more, right? But I really do enjoy that about the show. It was super good origin story, what I wasn't expecting, because like it's two existing characters. Like I wasn't expecting that at all.
It's just they like reinvented them.
Yes,
we'll see what they get to. It's interesting that they've still managed to do that. You know, it's like let's get two well-established characters that actually we've seen over the how many movies have they been in together? I think it's at least 3 or 4, right? If not more. Because they're both in Infinity War. They're both in Endgame. They're both
Civil War.
We know them. We know who they are. And the fact that they've managed to create excitement around those two characters again. And you know, I mean, I was very excited with Sam and him becoming Captain America at the end of Endgame. It's actually one of the things that when I walk out of the cinema, I was like, yes, I'm very much looking. I want to see that. That's I'm intrigued. And the fact that we've finally got to see it now in front of our very eyes and enjoy that. I think we're going in the right direction with Captain America. I'm quite glad that he actually picked up the mantle in episode 6. I was, that training he went through at the end of episode 5. Again, an awesome 90s montage. Chucking the shield against trees. Yes, I want to see that. Push up, running, all of that. More running, cut away. It's amazing. It's probably that all of the great things I've enjoyed from the series was had to do with montage and 90s inspired montage. It was quite funny. But I think we all agree. I think I'm gonna call the MVP of stuff we liked, and I think that was a Zemo dance scene. As a middle-aged white man, I could totally relate to that one scene. So I'm gonna call it MVP. We'll vote. We can vote. So if you guys are listening, you can vote and let me know if you agree. But I think it deserves a longer cut. So we can start trending the hashtag. Release the Zemo cut.
You're the video guy. What you got to do is put that dance over the Agatha song, and it's
done.
Gold.
I'll try. Challenge accepted. It'll be hard, but we'll take time. We'll get there.
If you can slice in Bucky and Sam throwing around the shield against the trees, done. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Set the beat to like the shield banging on the trees, and then let the song roll.
Oh,
I was expecting when Sam was training. I was like, I wish they would have put what was the name? I Need a Hero song. Was his? Ding, ding, ding. Oh, that'd been. Shivers. I might actually. Let's move on to things we didn't like. I want to start again. The one thing I didn't like, and I went all fanboy. I went quite, and it's so again, it's very superficial, but at the end of episode 5, when Sam gets the new suit from Wakanda, and he's got that big box and like opening up, I'm like, yes, new freaking suit, new Captain America. And then he puts it on in episode 6 and he landed. And I was like, no, it looks. I didn't like the goggles thing.
Bad.
Like the head.
Bad.
And there's.
But that's what it looks like in the comics.
And that's exactly how it looks like in the comics. But I didn't like it on TV.
You think they should have modernized it?
Slightly, like just get rid of the shoulder pads. That was very 80s. Granted that he's got shoulder pads, but on his uniform, Falcon uniform. So he's got. So that's just a straight up translation, if you will, of what he was wearing before. So it's just a bit weird. I didn't like the colors and stuff. I know because I went back to Google and I went, okay, what does it look like in the comics? And it's exactly copy and paste. So it's fine. They are very true to the comics, but like I was like, come on, take a little risk. Just make it sexier than that.
It stands out though in comic design. In costume design. In the MCU, because if you look at Scarlet Witch, got an updated version of her costume. They actually specifically took the piss out of her old costume, and then gave her like an updated version. Captain America gets a better version from the first one to like where we wound up. So I'm hoping that Sam's evolved, because
they all evolve. All the costumes evolve. Yeah.
He just looked too superhero-y, given that that's not his. He doesn't have superpowers. Right? It's like I would have wished it would have been more grounded. Like everybody got a more grounded costume. I'm like, why? Why did they do this? And I get it. It's true to the comics, but then why start with this one particularly, where they could have done something? And remembering that the comic that tells Isaiah Bradley's story is red, blue, and black, right? Yeah. And I'm like, why not lead into that? It was like there. It's like just it's low hanging fruit. Pick it and use it. It's like it was all there. It's like or like somehow like they could have seen something that Isaiah Bradley like wore in the past, and that could have inspired the costume somehow. I just don't think that Wakanda would have designed that costume. Like Wakanda costumes are amazing, and that's not what they would have designed.
That's absolutely true.
And that's actually true. Like everything they design, like every single thing they've designed so far, I'm like, oh my god, this baller. I was like, this one, I was like, a bit of a letdown. I hope they'll update it, but it was just like I felt very nerdy when I watched it. I went, I don't like it.
Me neither.
But there's hope for the future. It's fine. If that's their first iteration of the costume, there's time to move on.
Yes.
What do you guys have? Didn't like.
Go ahead.
What?
Oh, you go for it, dude.
Okay.
I can feel like a long speech coming up.
I'm checking my notes.
JC loading. Go on.
Write another paragraph.
Yeah.
I did think that some of the scenes in the last episode were a bit too choppy. Not just the action scenes, but some of those conversations at the end, and just it's almost like they shoehorned too much action into the last episode, given how much talking we needed to actually wrap up some of the themes and things like that. So I'd like to highlight the first of all, the conversation that Carly has with what's her first name? Sharon?
Yeah,
Sharon.
Sharon Carter. Where she basically outs her as the power broker, but doesn't actually out her when Sam joins the conversation.
Yep.
Right? They're talking about it openly, and then he walks in and she doesn't mention another word about it. And when Sharon shoots Carly, I thought that, on her deathbed, she's like, she's the power broker or something, that she would say something, but she doesn't. That whole time, she just decides to fight Sam, and it's like, really? Like, this could and should have gone a very different way, because the moment Sam joins that conversation and she sees that, and Carly sees that Sharon is on his side, or that he thinks that Sharon is on his side, she should have been like, wait, hold on. Why would you be on the same side?
Correct.
She's worked with her. She has a relationship. She knows Sharon probably better than Sam at this point.
Yeah.
As the power broker. And she just doesn't say anything. Right? Like, that was a bit weird for me. And then the other thing was, again, with Carly, I've said that not a lot of people got a good resolution. Same thing with Walker. But there's a moment when Carly says, we should all be willing to die for this. And everyone in her crew is like, you didn't say that.
That's not what we signed up for. Nope.
Yeah. Like, opt out, unsubscribe.
Blocked.
Ghosted. And they all have that reaction, and she has to repeat herself, and then they all agree. And then it's just forgotten about, and then they're blown up in the back of the car. And it was just a bit like, well, why put that moment in if it's just going to be for nothing, right? I just thought that was a bit weird.
They could have made Flag Smashers just agents of anarchy. Just like they just want to do stuff because there's stuff to be done. Because as soon as you ground it in something that real, then you're like, oh wait, so that didn't pay off at all. So that's my biggest gripe with the show. I agree. That last scene totally encapsulated everything that went on with that plot.
Yeah,
fully great.
Well, that's why it's one of the things that I didn't like. Also, is that it was confusing at times with the plot of the Flag Smashers and the Power Broker and all that. Everything around those two topics was a bit like, meh. What's going on there? It's a bit convoluted in places, and I was just like, do we really need this in? Do we really want to see that? It's like, and again, adding to the things that I didn't like. Sharon Carter, the way her story is told but not told. Like if we've got this good premises of her, and we go to Mandrapore, and it's really cool, and you got like Power Brook, and it's like, oh my god, this is really another storyline that we need to investigate and go further. And this one is like, well, it turned out that's her. Okay, cool. And then she's on a call. That scene, we're back in, baby. It's like, okay, like we could have had that in before, like, talk about Sharon Carter a little bit more, like, or develop a character a little bit more. And it's a few things that are a bit weird. It's like, somebody wrote this great article analysis of the series also, and saying like, what did she get the scientist who was making the serum? Like, what did she get that guy killed, knowing that she needed the serum, or did she not need it? And that confused me. I was like, did she need the serum to be there? The super. The strength serum to be out there or not? Like, I'm still confused to this day. I might have to watch the entire thing again. It's like, why would she kill the scientist she hired, or did she hire? Like, there's some stuff I'm like, huh? But again, we made this the introduction of power broker, and I'm still not sure what she was meant to be doing. Okay, she had to go underground and hide, and she rebuilt herself as a kingpin and all that stuff. So that's fine. But it's like, that takes a lot of work. Like, surely she deserves to have that story told also of how did she get to that place? How did she end up running things and being feared? And all of that was sort of brushed away, brushed under the carpet. And it was like, yeah, she's the bad guy. Okay, fine.
But sad. Who is she talking to at the end?
Yeah.
Agatha? Mephisto.
We're back in, baby.
Mephisto. Please.
Mephisto watch. It's like alarms go off every time it could be Mephisto. No, and I will not take credit for this. Shout out to Ringerverse podcast. Possible theory of who Sharon called? Nick Fury. Nick Fury is no longer with the government. Nick Fury is rogue. Space. Yeah, he's rogue. So could it be that she's helping Nick Fury with funding? Because Nick Fury has been on both sides of good and bad in the comics. Yeah. So yes, could it be Nick Fury? Right. So that's because everybody was like, well, it's probably the Julia Louis-Dreyfus character. Is it a Madame Val? But part of me feels like I think Sharon Carter's not. They've purposely set her up as not being entirely bad or entirely good. Right. It's a very ambiguous character, but written not very well. I agree with you 100%, Tom.
Yeah.
But the fact that she shows up and generally does help, right? She absolutely does that. But at the same time has other motives. I'm like, that feels like a very Nick Fury thing to do.
Sure.
So interesting theory, but we'll see.
Yeah. And then she was a SHIELD agent, right? And we know SHIELD has roots in Hydra and stuff like that. So yeah,
it could be double agent time, triple agent time.
Triple agent time. The one thing I just want to add also is that I didn't like was the way former Captain America / new US agent, how he went from the bad guy who killed somebody in Lola, and then episode 6 is like, hey buddy, let's go kick some ass. I'm like, wait, just 2 minutes ago you were just chasing him, like suddenly he's your best friend.
Yeah.
And I know you've got this common enemy, but it's like everything seems to be forgiven fairly quickly, and it's like and then you got a confusing scene again. That's shout out to Ellie who pointed that out, because I didn't really pick on it, but it's like that weird scene at the end when he gets to go into his new costume of the US agent. It's like, why are they back in the courtroom? Why is he getting changed in that courtroom? That's really weird. A weird place to do that. And why did you do that there? Like, surely there's somewhere you can get changed, like your place or whatever. Like a courtroom is like, what are you guys doing there?
Yeah, super weird.
If you want to really read into that one, it makes sense. I'm not sure they thought about it that much. It's like, it just basically says that American imperialism is approved of within the ranks of government, right? Because he stands for American imperialism, doing the right thing according to the United States, not asking anybody else if it's the right thing, and that gets sanctioned within the court of law, right?
That would make sense.
I don't think they went that far.
he's got the most imperialist sentence of the entire show. It's like, you've got no jurisdiction here, dude. You're like, you're in Europe. Can you just you either like go away, go back?
Sure. I wonder if they shot that scene and that scene was meant to be in a different place.
As in, like in the US?
No, as in that scene was maybe meant to be somewhere closer to when he first meets what's her name? Contessa Val.
Sure.
Because his wife or girlfriend is there as well.
Good point.
And that's where they first meet her, and then they're all back there, and it's like, well, maybe this was shot like at the same time, and it was meant to be then, but then obviously they decided to put the scene of him making the shield at the end of episode 5, and then they realized it wouldn't make sense, but they just threw it back in. Yeah, the exact same noise, right?
Yeah,
that same noise you hear at the end of Endgame. Yeah, that's the only thing that I think would make sense. But it definitely doesn't make sense for them to be back in the courtroom.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
All right, I will begin my long list of things I'm going to shit on. so no, agree with all. Like I had all your points in my list. A couple of ones to add in is what's the name of his buddy that dies? Black Star.
Lamar.
Yeah.
Lamar's life matters. Dude, coming out of the wrong mouth. I was like, you guys really did that? I was so pissed at that line. I was like, really? Like the guy that stands for imperialism says Lamar's life matters? I'm like,
yeah.
No, bad writing, guys. Sorry, pass. Then the second one is one that I touched on in the first episode, the buddy thing, the buddy action.
Still, okay, fine.
I think it still lands flat. I think at the end, the payoff is better than the setup.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know how like it's like kind of like Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, right? It's like they are really at each other's throats. Like you really go like these guys dislike each other and they come together. I never felt that with them. I never felt like they actively disliked each other. They had a good reason to dislike each other. It was written like all the lines sound like they dislike each other, but there's no reason for it. Whereas them coming together, once again, why the boat scene matters. Them coming together there, I found more satisfying than anything else, and kind of how they support each other at the end. Like Winter Soldier holding out his arm and the kids like hanging out and like doing pull-ups on his arm. Like all that scene, I was like, love it. This is the scene I wanted. But it didn't feel as earned because their conflict wasn't as in my face as I would have liked it to be.
Yeah. The whole thing of there was this funny interactions between Sam's sister and the whole flirting thing.
I thought that was the best part of the buddy stuff.
I know. Same here. Because that would have actually pissed off Sam. A good reason to be pissed off. Yeah.
and I wish they would have put that in earlier, and I wish they would have put more emphasis on it. Because there's a lot of things this is something that would have been gold, something that there's not been done in the Marvel universe just yet, something that is like that is so real, because that's something that happens in real life. And that was so funny. I was like, please go there, I want to see more of that.
Yes. Because she was like responding, right? She was like,
yes, she was.
So no, that part was awesome. The other ones are just smaller ones that I'm gonna crap on. So I think that there should have been a payoff with the bank guy. I kind of like Goodwill Hunting. How about them apples moment? Just go by the bank and go like my fucking boat. I felt that should have been payoff.
My boat outside your bank.
Because or like he shows up for food and they're like, yeah, here you go. And it's like it just like just a little bit of just like, dude, we got this. We didn't need your stupid,
that's true,
ridiculous attitude. Funny enough, I like the training montage, but there's something with that montage that really bugged me, which is Sam's throwing the shield perfectly fine with Bucky.
Yep.
And then somehow he has to relearn how to throw the shield, and it's like nearly decapitating him. And he's doing it around the kids. And I'm like, all of this is not on brand with Sam at all. So that part was a little like, well, I love the montage. It was really good. I felt that they could have like not made it him learning how to use the shield, like sort of thing. Like, or just learning it to do it in different ways or something. I don't know. So that part I was like, and then at the end, when he does the speech and you get the reaction shots were like, that's the Black Falcon. No, son, that's Captain America. I'm like, no, you didn't have to say it. You could have shown it. And yeah, it was super cheesy. And to me, it was more like the reaction shot of the end of Black Panther with the kids in the playground and them seeing the spaceship. Like, I feel like that was a much more earned reaction shot. So for me, it would have been like, I don't know, man, like some kid picks up like the lid of a trash can and puts it on his arm somewhere to just play with his friend or just something like, show me that it's inspiring rather than like, tell me it's inspiring. I'm like, let's not do that. It's like that part was a little bit
Yes.
And I believe that is it for my pooping on stuff.
It was a much nicer touch changing the name of the show at the end to Captain America and the Winter Soldier. That was a much better touch, a much more subtle payoff.
Yes.
I was expecting another post-credit scene though. I was expecting, but hey, they ended up with that, so it was all right. It was good. It was a nice little touch. Right, we got a couple minutes to go. Shall we just go on with? Do we want to go with predictions? Like, what do we think is going to happen? Maybe in Captain America 4, if there's one, or do we think? Let's not even predict what's going to happen. Are we predicting there's going to be a season 2? Maybe. Let's go with that. What do you guys think?
I did before I found out about the Captain America 4 rumors, and I think it would be better served being a film rather than another TV show. And like you were saying earlier, JC, of them just having their own platform, right? Of Sam just now being Captain America, him getting his own film, which I think is also a more powerful message in support of the racism themes and stuff like that. If he's Captain America now, he should get his own film because Captain America is that important.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas I think having another season 2 where we have all of these branching story paths and things like that, it would run into the same issues that this series ran into. They can stand on their own unless they do just a Winter Soldier TV show, which I would tune in for.
Yep.
I very much agree. I think they should do a Captain America 4 movie. They will do it, and I think they should go and branch out for something dedicated to the Winter Soldier. Because again, there's a lot of stories that can be told from his perspective, and there's a lot of things that we know. Again, PTSD. There's a lot of themes there that can be discussed, and he's got a lot of. There's a lot more I want to know about him, like past missions. It's like you can go back into his past and see how did he get brainwashed and how did he dig a little bit more into his origin stories. That would be great. Yeah. But again, having a season 2 doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, where do you go from here? You probably just rehash everything. Like, unless you make it that Bucky is not actually going out with Sam's sister, that would be leaning into the comedy in big time. That's I keep going on about that, but like you'll lean into the comedic side of it probably a lot more. But I think they can move on now with the Captain America 4 and tell Sam's story as Captain America and no longer having to deal with the issues that we've seen now for 6 episodes. That'll be fine for me.
An interesting takeoff would be for Bucky, because he's got the connection to Wakanda, even though he's kind of like not wanting Wakanda for a little bit, but I'm sure they'll go over it. Because of his connection into Wakanda, if they took at all the Flag Smasher plot at all seriously, then why wouldn't Wakanda be the unifying voice? Right? It's like they've said they're opening relationships to the world. We never see that pay off yet because there just hasn't been a time. But in the series, why not have Bucky in there and have the unification after the blip be one of the driving plots within that Wakanda show, and then having Bucky be a part of it, right? I think that could be kind of an interesting thing for where you to go for that. So because I appreciate that. Yes, we've seen a lot of Bucky, and I will say Sebastian Stan is like acting his ass off, man. He is very good in this, and I want to see a lot more of him. But I'm not sure if his story can carry an entire series for six episodes, hour long. But if you combine that with some other stuff, he can definitely amplify the story quite a bit because he is doing great work.
You know how Marvel would do it; they would introduce other characters and stuff like that. So there would be a lot to a lot of the heavy load wouldn't be just on him. It'll be shared. So I don't mind that.
And Zemo still seems to be operating from the raft, so he could get involved. And the fact that Io calls Bucky the White Wolf, that White Wolf character is actually quite an important character in Wakanda and Black Panther stories, and he's I think I'm not sure about the comics. I know in the cartoon he actually grows up with Shuri and T'Challa, so he's like almost like a step brother type of. It's like a step brother or an adopted brothers type of situation, where he has this on again, off again, good bad relationship with T'Challa. But that character, that name White Wolf, actually holds weight in Wakanda. It's an important name in Wakanda. So it would be very interesting to see him return back there and have some things happen around that.
And that's what I'm saying about having not a standalone, but a deeper look into Bucky's life, because I got excited when Wakanda showed up. Like when those characters came in, I was like, yes, I want to see more of that side of the story, because it's touched, it's talked about in the film. You see him like being looked after by the king and everyone else, and it's like, oh, God, I want to see what else happened within that. Things we weren't sure. I was very interested by that. Right. Anything else to add before we let everyone go? Move on with their day.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think is going on with Elaine? with Val? Because that's, again, it seems like they're introducing another organization, a separate organization, seemingly.
So I had to look her up, because I had to look at the history of Contessa, whatever her name is. And turned out, because I knew nothing about her, and turned out she in the timeline, the original timeline of movie released, and the way Marvel was releasing, or Disney was releasing movies, she was first introduced in Black Widow.
Yes.
Which now makes sense to why suddenly she's in here, and you're supposed to care for her. And I was like, who is she? What does she want? Why? So I think COVID being COVID, and it messed up the whole timeline. So I think, had we had the Black Widow film first, we'd have probably got more excited in seeing her dropping in there. We'll be like, oh, no, again. But yeah, apparently from what I've seen, because again, didn't know anything about her character. She was a SHIELD agent. She was involved with Nick Fury romantically. And then they had a fallout because she also was in love with Captain America. So that creates a lot of problems with Sharon Carter also. And, blah, blah, blah. She went off to Hydra, and then she's done a bit of everything. So she's originally from Russia. Hence Black Widow related storyline. I guess we'll learn more about her. So.
I'm feeling that she ties into Secret Wars somehow, because we know Secret Wars is coming.
Yes.
So I think some sort of like...
Yeah, the character was in Secret Wars.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. All right. So yeah, some sort of connection into that world. I think Black Widow further cements that, and I think Black Widow always was at least a bit of a setup for Secret Wars. It was my expectation, because Nick Fury has always been a Black Widow type character, right? They always usually show up together, so it's like it would make sense for now. Like I think it's gonna be Florence Pugh, right? It's gonna be Black Widow. Somehow that gets involved in Secret Wars. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, that's where I think it's probably going. I see her being an antagonist to Captain America, to Sam at some point, but I'm not sure if she shows up in the movie. I think that hopefully the movie is still Sam v. the establishment, right? I'm hoping that is, and there's a MacGuffin in there for sure. There'll be like a big bad of some sort, but I hope that that's what they carry on with. That Sam's thing doesn't become like, well, I'm going to join the rest of Avengers to like go fight Secret Wars without ever having like an actual plot line. I hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, no, I think I weirdly kind of like the casting. Like I think she brings a little levity to the whole thing. It's like it's not like as like deep, like just that moment of her like, but did I? I did, but did I? It's like that was just like so well delivered. So,
did you notice she's got purple hair? Do you think she's under Agatha's control?
Stop this madness.
You know who he was all along. All right. I think we should stop it there before I talk about Mephisto again. Magic powers. Anyway, last word on this. Very much enjoyed it. I think we get to see more of that, and can't wait for the 11th of June, which is release day for Loki, our next Disney Plus Marvel venture. I think that's going to be funny as hell. So looking at the trailer, it should be good chemistry.
Owen Wilson joining the MCU is the closest we'll ever get to like Bill Murray being in the MCU.
Yes.
It's like that. I'm so looking forward to like that deadpan comedy he's going to bring. I'm so excited about Loki.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. All right. So anyway, thanks everyone for listening. Dave, do you want to drop your other podcasts? You know, I think you do basketball podcasts. I don't know.
Do I? Yeah. I think Tom likes basketball. You should have him on it.
Yeah, I like basketball. You should have me on sometime.
Okay. Yeah. Come through, Tom. That'd be great. Do you have any special skills? Special, unique set of skills that might
No,
be
I'm just being
beneficial?
an annoying Frenchman. That's my skill.
Yeah, he's a traveling journeyman. He's a player/coach. Tree Rollins, shout out.
Train me for a washing machine. That's what you can
Yes, me and Tom are on the Grit and Grime Basketball Podcast. Episodes release every Wednesday on all podcast platforms and on YouTube.
Yes, we are on YouTube. Anyway, as for every week now, thank you everyone for listening. Thanks for everyone who's been subscribing to our Instagram, Twitter accounts, Facebook, lol, and YouTube channel. What else can I say? Thank you, JC, for joining us this week. We'll be back hopefully next week for some more stuff. What should we talk about next week? Let's try and get some Tenet action going. Get your friend to join in.
Yes.
Shout
out to Tim. I'm going to give you a call right after this episode.
Yes, please.
Explain Tenet. Oh, wait, no. Let's do Tenet when it drops on HBO Max. It's dropping in like 2 weeks. Yeah.
Perfect. There you go. Timing. We'll do something else next week. We'll do Tenet at some point. I'm excited.
Invincible.
There you go.
Oh, good.
Oh, yes. Lots to talk about there as well. Anyway, thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back very soon at some point, probably next week. And it's been us. It's been Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But not anymore. Soon you'll be lucky. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.
Peace.